All right, go ahead and start this off. Welcome to Fresh Tech Tips. I am Derrell, CEO of Fresh Tech Solutions. I have a couple of my business partners with me today.
I'm Nicholas Daniel, founder of Aegis Project Management.
And I'm Dr. Doug Franklin, CEO and co-founder of Deck Launch LLC. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's going to be a great day, great conversations. Today's Fresh Tech Tip topic is going to be remarkable branding, your entire identity. So Nicholas, can you go ahead and hit us with one of those beautiful definitions of yours?
Right. So the definition is pretty simple. Branding is the promotion of a company or a particular product through advertising and distinctive design. Now, I know even that might be a more generic definition, but these days that might even include more like your viral marketing and all kinds of stuff. But as long as you're advertising a particular product or a company through a unique set of items, then that's branding.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So what I want to do is we actually have a special guest with us today, and I want to bring her on. We have a special guest today is Miss Dana Hewling from b.iD LLC. So we're gonna go ahead and get her into this thing and get it started and let her connect to this audio. We're gonna deep dive into this branding conversation. So welcome, Dana. Thanks for joining us. No, not yet.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for joining. So can you?
Dana.
Hi, Nick.
So today we were just talking about branding, and we know that branding is your thing. You know, you're all about branding. We lost your video for a second, but we know branding is all about, you're all about branding. So Nick just gave us his definition of branding, but can you give us your remarkable definition of branding? What does remarkable branding mean to you?
Definitely.
Please.
So for us, remarkable branding is a brand who is being impactful and resonating with their target audience. And we feel like those are two key things. And you use branding to communicate your message effectively. And it correlates with the reputation that the business has. So for that, what a remarkable brand is to us.
Awesome. So I have so many questions I want to ask, but staying on topic, we're gonna talk about remarkable branding, and three things we're gonna talk about today are brand messaging, brand identity, and brand awareness. So I want to go ahead and start it off with brand messaging. Establishing those company core values. So Dana, what is the most important aspect a company should consider while developing its core message and values?
Well, one of the messages that a company should consider when they're developing their core message and their values, of course, is who are they? But more importantly than just who they are as a brand, they need to understand what their goals are, but also who their target is. Because you need to understand what the target wants, because without the target, basically, you have no brand. And there will be no messaging, there will be no services, there will be no revenue. So you need to first and foremost understand what your goals are, where you're trying to go, and then who will help you get there, because and that's your target. And so when you need to position your message so that your target can get it, so that the target can understand what it is you're providing, and again, connect with them. That's why I mentioned resonating. In what you put out, your messaging needs to resonate with the people you need to reach.
Awesome. Yeah, and I would even add to that, I mean, that's standing for something, but I would also say once you figure that out, like she said, then they need to stay consistent. You can't be flip-flopping everywhere for people to keep recognizing you and for it to resonate. Like Dana's always saying, you got to be consistent with that, with those core messages and core values.
Exactly. And so one of the things we'll tell people, okay, you can have a brand, you could do 50 million things, but you need to figure out what is your one thing. If you have 15 seconds and you have to do your elevator pitch, if you try to fit 10 different things into that elevator pitch, do you expect me to remember 10 different things? As opposed to if you say one thing 3 times in 15 seconds, I'm more likely to remember that one thing. So whereas we're a design agency and I could list every single service that we could help a business with, whereas if I tell them we're a branding first agency and I say branding 5 times in 15 seconds, you're going to remember us for branding, because that's really what the core of what we do. Yeah, we could do all of these other things, but at the core of it, we're a branding first company.
Oh, definitely. And I love that. And it kind of answered or leads into my next question about brand identity. So what does brand identity mean to you and b.iD?
So for us, brand identity is the tangible representation of a individual, business, or organization, or no, it's the heart of a business, individual, organization represented tangibly. And a lot of different elements go into your brand identity as a whole. So it's not just your logo. That's the one misconception everyone seems to have. It's like, do you have a brand? It's like, well, I got a logo. I'm just like, that's not your brand. So you have the logo is just a key part, because it's one of the things that people are able to easily identify. But in your brand identity, you can have, the logo, but you can have the different fonts that you use. You can have the different color scheme. What are your primary colors? What are your accent colors? Are you incorporating any patterns or textures into your brand, in the way you use shapes? And then you can get into not just design stuff, but do you have a mascot? So the Geico Gecko is part of their brand. Flow is part of Progressive's brand, et cetera, et cetera. You can have your tagline or slogan. Those are part of your brand. And, a lot of them have it, Burger King, home of the Whopper, or you can have it your way. They alternate that. And you can, audio can be part of your brand. So you have the ba-da-ba-ba-ba, like that. Even just jingles are part of the branding strategy. And so there's a lot of different things that you can include as part of your overall branding message. And it's bringing all of those things together that makes the brand as a whole. And that's what helps differentiate you from other businesses, because you can't just have a logo. If you have a logo, but everything else you use is pretty generic, what stops me from switching out someone else's logo and saying, well, that works for them as well?
So, and good afternoon, Dana. How you doing?
Hi, Doug.
So I had a question, because I was just thinking through it, and you identified a lot of the elements that go into brand guidelines. And between Deck Launch and Fresh Tech, we work with a lot of startups and early stage businesses that may just be seeking a logo, but don't necessarily understand the importance of having all those brand guidelines. So are you recommending that brand guidelines should be up there really early, like as early as you're building your business plan, or is it something later on that you can plan for in the future?
Well, you want to differentiate yourself. So you're competing. If you're new to the business, you're competing with people who've already been out there. And I always tell people, like, we work with tons and tons of startups and new businesses and new entrepreneurs, and we love their passion, but we don't design for new businesses. We design for a 5-year-old company. So you need to look the part. It's like dressing for the job you want. If you look like the complete picture, then it reflects beneficially on your brand as a whole. Because if you look like the complete picture, you've thought about your appearance, how you're presenting yourself to the world, then customers are going to say, well, they've taken the time to care about representing themselves and who they are, that must extend to the services. Now, if you're going to present yourself well, you need to make sure the services match, but they're more likely to say, okay, well, they've thought this through. It's not bits and pieces of things. So they are going to more than likely provide me with great service, and they're going to be able to, I can trust them more. It helps with the trust factor. And so it's easier to communicate who you are and then build that consistency and build that trust if you are consistent. And it's easier to be consistent if you have a branding direction that you're already working off of. Because if you don't have those guidelines that you're working within, that tone, that look, that feel, you're going to do a lot of different things. And that's why you have a lot of disjointed brands 3-5 years down the road, because they weren't sure who they were when they started, and they've been figuring it out. And every 2 months you get a different brand.
Yes, definitely. And that's crazy because you do see that, you know, and you kind of hearing the results of, well, how that happened is kind of interesting. So let's get into brand awareness. What are some key tips to consider when trying to create awareness about your brand?
Again, it goes down to your target. So if your message resonates with the target and you understand your goals, then that's really your starting point. Because in terms of reaching out to your target, you need to know who they are so you can understand where they are and meet them where they are. So if your target is C-level professionals, then you really need to be on LinkedIn and not hanging out on TikTok. But if you are trying to reach Gen Z, then yeah, you need to be on Instagram and TikTok, and they won't pay attention to you at all on LinkedIn. So that is a key part. Again, it comes down to knowing your target. And if your message is consistent and it rings true with your target, then bit by bit, they become brand advocates, because that's really what you want. You want those referrals. You want people who are not part of the business singing the praises of the business. And because people will trust people who are not being paid to promote the brand a little bit more than just the brand itself. So that you, again, that's why you need to know who your target is. You need to make sure that the message you put out connects with your target, because everything kind of just falls in line or connects after that.
And you used a really great word. You said trust, and so we don't often associate trust all the time with branding and marketing. But how important do you believe trust is, especially in the current environment that we're in?
Oh, immensely. So yeah, without trust, that's really all branding is. It's like you're trying to build that trust, build that loyalty. The marketing is the sales. The marketing is the ROI. But with the branding, it's like, this is who we are saying who we are. It's your promise to your audience. And when they work with you, they know that they can get that experience. And so that's really where the trust, that's why you need to be consistent. Because if I come to Fresh Tech and y'all are telling me that y'all are all about all things tech and all things fresh, and you don't give me tech or fresh, I'm gonna be mad.
I would be mad too. I would be appalled.
And it's the same thing with b.iD. If they come work with us and we don't ask them about their logo, their branding statement, their tagline, their positioning, and we just give them some cookie cutter stuff, I would be extremely upset. Sorry. And so you want people to be able to know that this is who you say you are and this is what they can expect. Because also when it comes down to referrals, it makes them more likely to refer them, because when you refer someone, you're vouching for that business or that brand or that entity. And if they refer someone to you, they're saying, well, I've used them, this is my experience. And that person is now going to say, well, so-and-so trust you enough to give them their word that you're awesome. And then if you don't match up to that, it's really hard. And that person who did give the referral is never going to give another referral because you messed up. And then now you have someone who said, well, I heard all of this about you and what I got on my end was not it.
It's extremely important. So definitely, we need to be sure we have our brand messaging correct, our identity and our awareness all down pat. Dana, I did a brief introduction about you. Tell us a little bit about your company, how to reach you. I know you just reached a milestone, I believe 6 years in business.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So congrats on that. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so yeah, I am the owner and creative director of b.iD LLC. Yes, last week we celebrated 6 years, so that's cool. And almost forgot about it. It's like, oh yeah, it's our anniversary. But we've been celebrating 6 years of trying to help businesses and brands be remarkable. And that is our tagline. We say, why be good when you can be remarkable? And we are a dedicated design agency. So again, we're branding first. So everything we do stems off with a branding strategy. We can design logos, or if they have a logo and we can move forward with that, then we can help them build out a branding strategy or use their existing one if they do have one. And then we can help them design just about anything from business cards to billboards and van wraps or social media graphics, anything in between. We do design and build websites. We have a copywriter on staff, and he lives and sleeps and eats and breathes writing, so we can write for websites, write for products, just about anything. And then on the marketing side, we do social media marketing management and training, as well as search engine optimization, email marketing, and a plethora of other things.
Love it. I love it. So I know you just had an event Saturday. Tell us about Be Impactful Day and how that went.
So Be Impactful Day is our annual day of service. And so that was the 5th Be Impactful Day. We did start that in 2015. And usually we go out because it's really supposed to be about hands-on, tangible giving. But because, we're in quarantine, we had to go virtual this year. And I teamed up with 2 amazing designers, Hassan Atadi of Vitamin Yellow, and then Chantel Barron of None of the Above. And so #Black Girl Magic. And we designed some free Instagram story templates just for the world to enjoy and spread some good positive vibes, because that's really what we want. There's a lot of craziness in the world right now, and we just wanted a little bit more sunshine on the internet.
Awesome. So one last question. I know you have an event tomorrow, correct? Tell us about what you're doing. I believe it's what really matters during the rest of 2020, which is, yes. I love the title.
Marketing, what really matters for the rest of 2020. And that is in partnership with Twice Media Productions, and I'm really, really excited about that. So if y'all haven't heard Tiffany speak, that's going to be a big deal. So yeah, Tiffany and I will be talking about marketing. Of course, being digital is going to be extremely important, and everyone is a little bit concerned because everyone's feels it's a little bit insensitive to be marketing right now. Or should I be doing this? Does anyone care? So we're going to be talking about a lot of that tomorrow and ways to move forward. We're going to be giving some tangible advice because we're not just trying to talk just to talk. We're all about action and solutions and moving forward and building strategies. So Tiffany will, of course, on the video and digital side, and I'm coming from a branding perspective. So I'm excited about that. It's tomorrow on Facebook Live at 3 p.m. So join us.
Definitely will be in the room for that digital event. So kind of wanted to wrap everything up. I had a couple of questions, a couple of wrap-up questions. So right. I want to leave our viewers with a little something to take home. So what, in your opinion, is the worst thing that you can do when branding?
the worst thing, and this is my opinion because it happens just so much. Other than just thinking you don't need, because I'm not going to even acknowledge that. This is the thing, yeah, that's a whole nother thing that I'm not going to acknowledge. But one of the worst things that you could do when you're branding is think you are your target. Because 9.5 times out of 10, the person who started the business is not the target. And so they think that everything that matches up to how they like things and what they want is what their target audience wants. And again, it's really not.
Interesting. That's really good info for people to look into. I know I had a little phase of that personally when I first started. Got over that, but definitely something that I think people should think about. The last one I'm going to ask you is, what is the thing that you must do when branding?
The thing you must do, I think we touched on this. The thing you must do, again, is always just consider your target audience. Yeah, and then I mean, this may be biased, but I would say, of course, consult a professional because there's just so much to consider when branding that it's really hard to fake it. That's why you've seen a lot of brands look alike these days because they use the same cookie cutter molds. But it's really just about being true to your target, understanding your goals, and understanding your one thing. And it comes down to consistency. Those are really the things that I think you always have to do when it comes to branding. People get creative, they get ideas, they think, oh, what do we do about this? What do we throw in this? And we throw that. And then the core message gets lost. The purpose gets lost. Again, we don't know who they are anymore, what they're trying to do, because they told you started off with one direction and then you threw all of these things in because you're thinking you're adding value, but you're really just diluting the messaging and building confusion. So if you just, who is your target? What are your goals? What is your one thing? And again, yeah, and I think that's really what you need to remember. Everything else is secondary.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dana. Nice to see the guys as usual. Y'all stay safe and stay quarantined over there. And we will be back next week, next Monday at 12 o'clock, all the way up until we're off punishment. So tune in next Monday, and we'll see y'all then. Thanks for joining Fresh Tech Tips.
Thanks for having me.